and the book is open to a certain place, and what is in the book is basically an oath. And the oath that each one of them is swearing to is that they will faithfully execute the station that they have been elected to, which is cardinal, and that they're going into this conclave with of their own free will and volition, and that they're pledging that they will not allow any external or secular authority or voice or position or anything interfere with the work of the Holy Ghost, which they are pursuing now, which is to select the next Holy Father. It's just it's amazing to me. And again, I've been at this for 34 years now. JP2, John Paul II was selected in 1978, 79, after John Paul I was selected, and then he died. And then immediately they had to go to another conclave, and they selected, of course, Cardinal Wojtyla. And then, of course, he ruled, and he was the Holy Father until 2001 or 2002, when he died. And then there was a conclave, and of course, Cardinal Ratzinger, Benedict XVI, was then selected in that conclave. And I knew that it was going on. I just don't remember there being this kind of attention to it. And then, of course, in 2013, when Cardinal Ratzinger, Pope Benedict XVI, abdicated his position as Holy Father, he then, and of course, he was still alive. Then they had a conclave to elect ultimately who would become Jorge Maria Bergoglio, who would become Pope Francis I, the first Jesuit ever elected to the papacy and to the See of Peter. And then, of course, we all know the history and most of the story of Pope Francis, and what many regard as like the worst of all modern papacies. And now we have this conclave. Here we are in early May of 2025, and what I think is instructive and is amazing here, it's almost as though the Western world senses it's in trouble and is kind of like looking to Rome. Now, again, this is just me rambling on this. You're free to disagree. But senses that it is in such moral, in a moral state of utter decay and despair, that it is actually looking to Rome for an answer. It's almost like it's looking to go like, okay, all right, yeah, we did all of this. We killed the babies. We mutilated the kids. We normalized homosexuality. We poo-pooed marriage, and all the other moral atrocities that have been committed in the West. And it is almost as though, as I say, that with 4,000, Michael Haynes, our correspondent in Rome, who may be able to join us next hour, there are 4,000 journalists, plus more than 4,000 in Rome right now that are reporting on this back. If you go to YouTube or Rumble or any of the streaming services, the thing that's number one in streaming around the world is Papal Conclave, which I think is actually, that's a good thing. It's fortuitous. So we're going to go live. I believe we had the feed live from the Vatican. Also, there's something interesting that as we're covering this and watching this, as the cardinals made their way from where they were at St. Peter's Basilica to the Sistine Chapel, there's a beautiful rendition, a chant rendition of the Litany of the Saints. I recognized it immediately because I started hearing the names of, because it kind of goes in alphabetical order. You have it? And And if you don't know the Latin Ora Pro Nobis, please pray for us. Got it. You just heard St. Mary Magdalene. trying to follow this at home, this Litany of the Saints is not going in the same order as the Litany of the Saints maybe in your missal. I just thought I would clarify that, but this is the Litany of the Saints, and as the Cardinals make their way into the Sistine Chapel. Mike Church here with you live on this most historic of days, 7 May 2025, as the Western world looks on and turns to the Vatican for answers, I think. And the pressure seems to be on. The Holy Ghost has this. This is in the hands of the Holy Ghost. And the Cardinals, hopefully that's what they will rely upon. This is live coverage of the Papal Conclave, live from Vatican City, via Vatican City TV, here on the Crusade Radio Network. Changed the chant. It is now Parce nobis Domine, spare us, O Lord, exaudi nos Domine, gracious hear us, O Lord, libera nos Domine, deliver us, O Lord. Domine is the refrain. It's libera nos Domine. dance now is Te Rogamus Aldinos. We'll be right back here on the Crusade Radio Network. And without annoying messages like this one. Sign up for a Founders Pass membership with a grand total of 0.0. All we ask is your name and email address. No credit card needed. To sign up, go to crusadechannel.com/offer. Once you're a premium member, you can pull a brave heart and shout, "Let my ears be brave!" Treat your ears today at crusadechannel.com/offer. Hey folks, it's Mike Church, producer of the Shakespeare Radio Film Festival, announcing that we're offering the entire festival, including Joseph Pierce's commentaries, for just $19.95. That's a 50% discount. This exclusive download will include over 16 hours of festival content. To reserve your Shakespeare Radio Film Festival download at an incredible 50% off, go to crusadechannel.com/Hamlet.
We don't know where D.B. Cooper of Cocaine Bear hid their money, but we do know there's a pound of gold in Mike Church's studio, and all you have to do to win is listen for that golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust. Because the truth can be trusted. From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Wednesday, May the 7th, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Radio Network News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. This report is brought to you by the 2ALibertyWatchCompany.com. Watches that express your love of the Second Amendment, American liberty, and President Trump. All beautifully crafted and endorsed by Mike Church. Shop their stylish line of watches today at 2AWatchCompany.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Supreme Court stays lower court ruling, allowing Trump transgender ban to proceed. President Trump declares New York Attorney General Leticia James a total crook. 11 teen members of the ultra-violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua involved in an attack against police officers, and Smokey Robinson accused of sexual assault by former housekeepers. The Supreme Court yesterday sided with the Trump administration in lifting a lower court order that paused the Pentagon's transgender military ban from taking effect, allowing Trump's order and related policies to proceed at least. The High Court ruling is a near-term victory for the White House, even as it did not address the underlying merits of the case or President Donald Trump's January 27th executive order banning transgender service members from the U.S. military. Meanwhile, President Trump declared yesterday that New York Attorney General Leticia James is a total crook. He said the Justice Department would do what's right after receiving a criminal referral accusing her of mortgage fraud. Trump finally weighed in on the scandal during an Oval Office appearance moments after U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told reporters, "We won't discuss anything pending or not within my office," when asked about the April 14th referral against James from Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Pulte. "I can say, unrelated to that, she's a disaster for New York. She's a horrible, horrible human being, and I think she's a total crook. There is no question about it, but that's just my opinion," Trump said, and the opinion of many Americans. 11 teen members of the ultra-violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua were involved in an alleged attack against 2 New York City police officers on Friday night in Times Square, we're just now learning from Fox News. 5 of the suspects, all illegal aliens from Venezuela, have been arrested in connection with the attack, which involved the migrant crew throwing glass bottles, basketballs, and rocks at NYPD officers who were responding to a robbery. Our quote of the day: "It isn't good to let our thoughts disturb us or worry us at all." St. Teresa of Avila. Coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Here's a golden age of America fun fact. In 1971, if D.B. Cooper had jumped out of an airplane with $200,000 worth of gold instead of U.S. currency, he would have $11.5 million in gold bullion today. Now, we don't know where D.B. Cooper's money is, but we do know that Mike Church has 1 troy pound of gold in his vault, and you don't have to jump out of an airplane to win it.
Win Mike Church's Pound of Gold tickets, available at winapoundofgold.com. D.B. Cooper and Cocaine Bear parachutes sold separately.
Attention coffee lovers! Our Capuchin Dark Roast is now in its 6th year as Crusade Channel listeners' favorite coffee. Grab a bag of whole bean or ground, fresh roasted goodness today and take advantage of flat rate shipping and shop for all our coffees at shop.mychurch.com.
Today we remember the solemnity of Saint Joseph, and our saint of the day is Saint Stanislaus. Anyone who reads the history of Eastern Europe cannot help but chant on the name of Stanislaus, the saintly but tragic Bishop of Krakow, the patron of Poland. He is remembered with Saints Thomas More and Thomas Becket for vigorous opposition to the evils of an unjust government. He was born in Poland near Krakow on July the 26th of 1030, ordained a priest after being educated in the cathedral schools of the then capital of Poland and in Paris. He became the Bishop of Krakow in 1072, and during an expedition against the Grand Duchy of Kiev, Stanislaus became involved in the political situation of Poland. He was known for his outspokenness and aimed his attacks at the evils of the peasantry and the king, especially the unjust wars and immoral acts of King Boleslas II. The king first excused himself and then made a show of penance, then relapsed into his old ways. Stanislaus continued his open opposition in spite of charges of treason and threats of death, finally excommunicating the king. Enraged, the king ordered soldiers to kill the bishop, and when they refused, the king killed Stanislaus with his own hands. Smokey Robinson was the next up for accusations, accused of sexual misconduct and false imprisonment yesterday in a lawsuit filed by 4 anonymous former employees, according to documents obtained by Fox News Digital. The 85-year-old Smokey Robinson is accused of harassing and assaulting 4 former housekeepers who worked at his Chatsworth home between 2006 and 2024. The accusers are seeking $50 million in damages. Frances Robinson, Smokey's wife of 25 years, also accused of perpetuating a hostile work environment. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
We don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, but we do know that Mike Church will give you a chance to win his pound of gold, and all you have to do is listen for the golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
Well, the Western world is watching the spectacle that is. And when I say spectacle, I don't mean spectacle as in a bad thing. I mean spectacle as in spectacular. The spectacle that is the Papal Conclave in Rome that's begun today was preceded just now by a most beautiful long-form recitation in Latin of what's called the Litany of the Saints. So, if you were trying to follow along at home, they weren't going in the order that I had it and my missal, but I think they hit on all of them, and it was quite lovely to watch the splendor of the cardinals making their way through or into the Sistine Chapel, and then before they were able to proceed, they had to stop at a dais, whereupon there was a place, an oath that they basically were asked to take, and affirming that what they were about to do, and that they weren't going to let any secular influence influence their decision here. Mike Church here with you on the Mike Church Show, welcoming all of you, asking the question of the day.
If women living near rivers.
Well, I would be asking the question of the day.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Here on a Wisdom Wednesday, we'll pick back up with in just a moment.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire.
No, you can't.
Secure society.
So I'm calling on Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them into law.
You fall down the thunder, well now you got it.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
And our call-in line telephone number is 844-527-8723. Crusader Stadium chat room is open for your commentary at crusadechannel.com/chat. And, of course, you can chat on the YouTube chat, and you can subscribe to the channel as well. I have not played the soundbite of the day yet, so it's going to get played sometime this hour here. Someone's going to win a ticket to win a pound of gold. I'll tell you all about that as the program gets underway. We were just watching live from Vatican City and from it's Vatican City TV? Is that where the feed is coming from?
Vatican Media.
Vatican media, the live feed, and it's still going on right now. As a matter of fact, Maggie, if you want to throw it up there, you can see that, they're through all the cardinals have now entered the room. Okay, so I believe the shot that we have now is the exterior of St. Peter's Basilica, and the crowd, which is all gathered in St. Peter's Square, of course. The cardinals have now made their way into the chapel. The doors are closed, and I know that there's the chimney cam kinda is focused on the chimney where the white smoke or the dark smoke will come out, and the cardinals are going to go in, and they're going to go in and vote. There was a shot earlier, I think I saw. I think you threw it up in the chat room, of almost looked like a ballot box in the middle of the Sistine Chapel there, and that each cardinal will walk up to the box and will, I guess, write the name of who it is that they wish to vote for, and will drop it into the box. And then when all that is done, is the guy from Survivor going to come out and go like, "I'll go count the votes"? Or, no, I'm being facetious. Someone will then count the votes, and then obviously there probably won't be a 2/3 majority. So then they will then go to the machine, to the chimney machine. This is what's going on live now.
This is just a rebroadcast of them closing the door.
Okay, this is a rebroadcast. What you're seeing on your screen is a rebroadcast of them of the Sistine Chapel doors being closed, and I guess these are in the red robes with the white. That's called a surplice. What they're wearing. That's the choir that was chanting the Litany of the Saints, and of course you see the Swiss Guard outside, standing by in their traditional Swiss Guard garb. And then all of the others that were part of the procession making their way out. And I'm actually interested to see this. And then I guess some of the older cardinals that will not be voting making their way out. We saw Cardinal Burke earlier, who was, I believe the procession was Cardinal Robert Cardinal Sarah with Cardinal Burke right behind him, putting their hand on the book and reading the pledge and acknowledging that they weren't going to let a secular source or authority interfere with the decision that they have to make. Now you can see right there, this is, I guess, the final of the, the cardinal is coming to the door, or the master of ceremonies, and there it is. The door is closed to the Sistine Chapel. This may be, if you're watching this may be fascinating for people to see. But I want to talk about it in this manner here on the Mike Church Show Power Hour, brought to you by winapoundofgold.com. That is winapoundofgold.com. Okay, and by the way, a couple of just little housekeeping items that we're going to tidy up with the contest and things that we're going to talk about. Where would you keep the gold and things like that? We're working on this a solution for all of you. So stand by. We'll get to all of that. But I want to talk about this in the sense of, you know, our friend Michael Haynes, the independent journalist, phoned in live from Rome earlier today and gave us a very personal look and description of what he was seeing as he was in Rome, and some of the conversations that he had. Apparently, he had talked to a cardinal or two. And one of the things that Michael said, the thing that stood out to him the most, that he was not expecting, was controversy. That because Pope Francis had selected so many of the cardinals that would be responsible for selecting and for electing his successor, the thought was that he had stacked the deck for a Francis 2.0, and that we were going to get another Jesuit. It's a sad thing to say, or it's a sad thing to reflect upon if you are a Catholic, and that is that the Jesuits, the once great Jesuits, have fallen so far from the founding of St. Ignatius of Loyola and St. Francis Xavier and the other great Jesuits, in the 15th century that founded the Jesuit order. You think about the Jesuits that came to the United States, the canonized martyrs, St. John Brebeuf, St. Isaac Jogues. They're called the North American Martyrs, the 5 North American Martyrs. There's a pilgrimage for them every year. These men came here as priests to spread the word among the Indians. Unlike, the Protestants who came here and ultimately started wars against the Indians, rounded them up, herded them into reservations, and in many instances committed genocide against some of the tribes and killed them. The Catholics that came here, by and large, including the Franciscans, think of St. Junipero Serra, who made his way to the state of California, came up through Mexico, through Baja, and then just works his way up. He and his Franciscans works his way up the west coast of what is today California, and establishes all these missions, all these towns that start with San in California, beginning with San Diego, Santa St. Monica, San Luis Obispo. I mean, just go up the coast, and there's a San every 10 miles. Those are all missions that were started by primarily by St. Junipero Serra. But again, back to the Jesuits that came here to the United States. The Jesuits established the most magnificent system of colleges, Catholic colleges here in the United States. And most people don't know this. Right here in New Orleans, how many of you New Orleanians, how many of my Houdat bros out there know that Loyola, or some of you call Crayola University, Loyola University is named for St. Ignatius of Loyola. It is a Jesuit school. How many of you listening right now? The competition radio station in this town, in New Orleans, WWL. What does WWL stand for? Well, the Jesuits founded that radio station in the 1930s. Worldwide Light is what it stands for. You go to the great city of Boston. Boston College is a Jesuit school. Go to Mordor and the Potomac River. In Washington, D.C., Georgetown, the great Georgetown University. That's a Jesuit school. There are Jesuit schools everywhere. So the once great Jesuits established so much beauty and gave so much to the people of the United States here. And then of course, the devil's going to target the most holy people. This is the way it works. And of course, the devil and his minions set his sights on the Jesuit order. And in the span of 20 or 30 years, the once great Jesuits, the mighty Jesuits, think of the mighty Jesuit priests of the 20th century, the Father Cahills or Calls, who wrote the great books about getting back to the land and farming and all that. All gone. All gone. Replaced by Father James Martin J. An incredible thing here. So we get Pope Francis. The reason I brought that up is because Pope Francis was a Jesuit. And I don't need to tell people the things that happened in the Francis pontificate here. And I have to tell you, just in watching what we've seen today, and in just the reverence of what we've seen since Pope Francis died, and the arrival of the cardinals, and, our friend earlier, Michael Haynes, who was invited to call. I know he was at the Sistine Chapel. Because he's reporting live and he's on Twitter. So I know that Michael's out and about. So if he makes it back to the hotel room in time, he will call in and we'll get another live update from him, because I'm excited to hear what he has to say because he watched that procession live. He was actually there. But Michael reported earlier to us that there were over 4,000 journalists have been given credentials by the Vatican press office for this. And that suggests an event that is mammoth in size and scope. And as I said earlier, the Western world has turned to Rome. I was even seeing commentary in our Crusader Stadium chat room earlier at crusadechannel.com/chat. I was even seeing commentary earlier from some of our Protestant listeners who are evangelicals who are also watching this and going like, well, I hope you guys pick an actual Catholic this time. I'm willing to hear the barb, to take the jab, because what's the argument against it? Yeah, well, I think that's a pretty good argument. The world needs a holy father who's actually holy. The world needs the Catholic Church to become what she has always been to what used to be called Christendom. As the church goes, so goes the world. We elect another bad one, another lefty who wants to ordain women and do all these other Hades-forsaken flying rainbow flags and what have you. In the Vatican, that's the way the world's going to go. Because the world's going to go, oh, the Pope said I could do it. Well, the Catholic Church isn't teaching against it anymore. And you're right. So I think the West is lost. Maggie, the greatest radio producer in the history of radio producers, sitting right there. I think that you actually said it best earlier in your comment in there when you said the Western world has turned to Rome because it knows it's lost. It doesn't have anywhere else to go. You can't retreat to your movies. You can't retreat to your porn. You can't retreat to your gambling. You can't retreat to all of the secular distractions of this world. They have done nothing more than gum up the works and make it worse. And everyone feels, and most people feel, as though the human race is somehow careening out of control and is on a bad path, on a bad flight trajectory, if you will. And so turning to the world is now turning, looking at Rome, going like, hey man, what you got? Save us. Jesus, literally, save us. So I think that is a pretty good introduction to what we're seeing and that's going on in Vatican City and in the world today. We have other things that we're going to cover here on the Mike Church Show, here on the Crusade Radio Network, on our extended Power Hour, and welcoming all of you. By the way, programming note, the Power Hour is available as a podcast now for Founders Pass members. Great excuse to go sign up at crusadechannel.com/offer. You get 3 hours in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. We record it all. So what is this just in from Kash Patel? This is good news here. This is breaking news. Apparently, the DOJ is announcing that they have. Okay, here we go.
Our children. If you harm our children,
Kash Patel,
you will be
FBI
given no
director.
sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America.
Yeah, the X.com released just moments ago, just now. I can join AG Pam Bondi and the Injustice Department in announcing the arrest of over 200 alleged child sex predators in just the last week. Remember when President Trump had his first term? Remember me coming to you on the Mike Church Show and saying they did it again? U.S. Marshals showed up at a little podunk town somewhere in Tennessee, and bammo, a bunch of pederasts, a bunch of pervs, or as my beloved father, God rest his soul, Freddie, my beloved father, the great New Orleanian Freddie Ney would say, they arrested 200 of those preverts. Well, the preverts are on the run. Over 200 alleged child sex predators in the last week. For the last week, the FBI and DOJ have been quietly surging operations across 55 field offices to take down criminals who target kids. We call this Operation Restore Justice. You know why? Because it was an injustice that was being done before when the Biden regime lost 300,000 children during treasonaire and the rest of the importation and forced immigration of millions upon millions of illegal alien criminal trespassers. Where did the kids go? President Trump talked about this from the Oval Office last week. He talked about it. There's 300,000 missing children. We're going to find them. We're going to find them. And I believe that if they are findable, that they will. Kash Patel. By the way, how many of those jerks, those Democrat pervert enabling jerks on the Justice and the Judiciary Committee, who sat up there and sneered down their noses at Kash Patel, called him names, mocked him for his nationality, talked about, where's your experience as being an FBI director? What are you going to do? And as then layperson Patel was saying, like, I've been in law enforcement and at this for a long time. And what we're going to do is we're going to enforce the president's agenda. And he was very clear about that. But they were mocking him and sneering at him and looking down their noses. Well, now we know why, because the Democrat Party is the party of pederasts. The Democrat Party is the party of crimes against children. The Democrat Party is the party of spirit cooking. The Democrat Party, well, you get the picture, okay? John Podesta didn't just come along all of a sudden. This is why they wanted to stop Kash Patel. This is why they wanted to stop A.G. Bondi. This is why they wanted to stop President Trump. Because as I said in Trump 1.0, we got to arrest and bust almost every other week, once a month or so. We get an announcement of another pedo ring that was popped, busted by the local police department in cahoots with, or in cooperation with, I shouldn't say cahoots, in cooperation with Barney Fife in cooperation with U.S. Marshals. Almost always the U.S. Marshals that would show up and would make the arrests. Back to Kash Patel. Our agents, support teams, and partners did excellent work, rescuing 115 children across the country in the process. Their work undoubtedly saved lives and protected vulnerable kids from further horrific crimes. Can you imagine what these preverts were doing to these children? Well, we can't imagine it, and we don't have to imagine it, because we have court proceedings now. One very recently in Wisconsin, and two very recently in the great state of Georgia, where we know exactly what these pederasts, what these preverts do to the children. You don't have to imagine, and it's unthinkable. Operation Restore Justice is a powerful message. If you harm children in America, you will be given no sanctuary. There is nowhere you can hide. You will be hunted down, and you will be prosecuted. Preverts are preverts. They cannot be reformed. I don't want a sex offender registry, because once a sex offender, always a sex offender. Best thing that can happen to you, if you're one of them, is that you do get caught and you get prevented from further mortal sins that are going to basically guarantee you a seat in a very low level in hell. You should be thankful that they caught you. You know what you should do? You should turn your life over to Christ. That's what you ought to do. You ought to commit to a life of celibacy for the rest of your life. That's the only way the rest of polite Christian society can look upon you and can grant you mercy and forgiveness. But you have to ask for it. That is huge that they have made that bust. And I suspect that that's going to be that's not going to be the last one. Some of the other stories that we are covering here today, and I was just blousing around on the interwebs and looking at what other people were talking about. If you go to the pages of Crisis Magazine, for example, you will find that pretty much every story that is there, just starting at the top. The papacy and the sacrifice of the intellect, the Pope and Donald Trump addressing blurred lines between the sacred and the profane. Further down, the new Pope must purge the church of the lavender mafia. If you're not a Catholic, and especially if you're not a traditional Catholic, you may not have heard. Miniature, please, who's the lavender mafia? Perverts, preverts. Think Cardinal McCarrick, lavender mafia grand poobah. The Lavender Mafia are the people that safeguard the remaining pederasts that are Catholic priests, unfortunately some bishops, and unfortunately, cardinals. That's who the Lavender Mafia is. Next, the terrible duty of U.S. bishops to condemn anti-Arab prejudice. You know what? We need a Holy Father right now whose first address will be to the leader of the people of Israel, and will say, stop. Stop killing the people in Gaza. Stop bombing holy sanctuaries and the repositories of holy relics in Gaza.
We don't know where D.B. Cooper of Cocaine Bear hid their money, but we do know there's a pound of gold in Mike Church's studio, and all you have to do to win is listen for that golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network.
Hey folks, did you know that the word watch, as in wristwatch, originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert? Well, I know two guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Wednesday, May the 7th, 2025. This report is brought to you by the 2ALibertyWatchCompany.com. Watches that express your love of the Second Amendment, American liberty, and President Trump, all beautifully crafted and endorsed by Mike Church. Shop their stylish line of watches today at 2AWatchCompany.com. In the market report, the Dow dropped at close 0.95%. The S&P was down as well, 0.77%. NASDAQ fell 0.87%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Tourism Day. It's Skilled Interpreter Appreciation Day and Skilled Trade Day. It's also National Packaging Day. And if you're inclined to, it's National Bike to School Day. It's also National Barrier Awareness Day and School Nurse Day and National Roast Leg of Lamb Day. It's also National Paste Up Day. And our quote of the day: "It isn't good to let our thoughts disturb us or worry us at all." St. Teresa of Avila. Today we remember the solemnity of St. Joseph, and our saint of the day is St. Stanislaus. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
We don't know if there's gold in them hills of Dahlonega, Georgia, but we do know there's a pound of gold in the Mike Church vault. And all you have to do to win is listen for that golden sound of the day. Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network. To be a deacon in his church, you gotta swear.
Well, 'cause my is a big fat she's the biggest in the whole wide world.
Instagram rap influencers are gonna love Mike Church. The KingDude rules and influences the airways on the Crusade Radio Network.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch, such a cold finger beckons you to enter his web of sin. But don't go in. Golden words he will pour in your ear.
I could listen to Dame Shirley Bassey all day long. Mon ami.
He's kissed her. It's the kiss of death.
Bienvenue, mon amis. Les citizens de Nouvelle-Orléans. Miniature, please speak English. Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network. This portion of the program is brought to you by the Win a Pound of Gold.com contest. Okay, I have just confirmed now that our sponsor, Miles Franklin, will be happy to store the pound of gold that you're going to win if you're the winner and you don't want to have it on yourself. Now, me personally, I want it. I want gold, give me the gold. I want it. And I got a safe. If you don't have a safe, don't worry about it. Miles Franklin will store the gold for you. So you have peace of mind now. You don't have to worry about taking possession of it, but you have the value. And guess what? Miles Franklin, being an accredited precious metal trader, you could cash it in right there, and Andy will be happy to pay you for it at any point in time that you want to just cash your gold in. But it is a real Troy pound of gold. It's a real contest, and you have a chance to win it. Right now, your chance is so good. It's less than 1 in 250. You got a one chance. That's how many tickets have been sold thus far. We only have 16 days to go. So get your ticket today. WinAPoundOfGold.com. WinAPoundOfGold.com. Just think of it, it's my gold, and I'm going to give it to you if I pull your ticket number, but you got to get the ticket number. WinAPoundOfGold.com. You can also win a pound of silver this week if you're the #1 affiliate salesman or sales gal. So how do you do that? Well, just buy a ticket. You automatically become an affiliate. Click the affiliate area link on the site, and then choose your graphics or your message, or make your own up. But copy your unique URL, send it out to everyone you know. People buy tickets, you get credit. Sell 5 tickets, you get a free one. Sell 10 tickets, you get 2 free tickets, and so on and so forth. That's all at WinAPoundOfGold.com. Well, we're going to break our streak of the movie The Usual Suspects. We're going to break our streak of Usual Suspects not winning, being the caller of the day, which was caller 3 today. And I have to just remind people that are listening to the terrestrial radio stations, the toll-free number works. Last time I checked, maybe it doesn't work in New Orleans.
It works.
Did you try it?
Why wouldn't it work?
Well, I don't know, because
It works in every other state.
yeah, but maybe it doesn't work because we're in the exchange here, the 504 exchange. Do I need to give you WGSO listeners your own little private number to call? Someone from terrestrial radio is going to win one of these tickets. If we have to take caller number 100 and sit here for an hour,
I'm not doing that.
I am giving a WGSO listener a ticket, whether you want it or not. I may have to drive down to the studios and do a show one day and force Carrere to give it to one of his listeners. You listening, Jeff? You want to give a golden ticket away? Call me, bro. I will hook you up. Bart Swar.
Hello, Mike.
Dude, you were like a repeat offender. If winning tickets to win things on the Mike Church Show was a 3 strikes and you're out, you'd be 50 years in the pen.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed it wasn't like one of the first 2 days.
But now, have you ever won the grand prize? No, you haven't, have you?
I have not, no. I'm still waiting on that one.
All right, so let's do a little questionnaire here. Were you to win the gold, would you actually take physical possession of it?
I don't know. The cash value is kind of tempting, but yeah, no, I'd definitely take the gold.
Okay, all right. So that's not a hang-up for you. You're not going like, wow, that sucks. Who wants a pound of gold?
No.
All right, good. All right, Bart Swar, you're an official affiliate now. You only have to sell like 9 tickets to take the lead from JT. So this is completely doable. Maggie's going to send you an email with your coupon code in it. Go and cash it in. Go get your ticket. You'll get your serial number. And then you are the winner for today, Bart Swar. You enter the Hall of Fame, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations, brother. And it's nice to know that you're still out there listening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
All right, brother. Your chance to win tomorrow, 6 a.m. I'll play the golden sound of the day. And when I play the golden sound of the day, mark that down and listen for it to be played back. Maggie will tell you what caller number to be. And the gold, or the chance to win the gold, is yours. WinAPoundOfGold.com. You know, it's funny. I'm talking about 504 area codes, and as I'm talking to Bart Swar, I get a call from a 504 area code. My ears must be burning. Okay, today is Wednesday, May 7th. This is the schedule of how the conclave is going to go down. Obviously, today we have already had the Rome time is 1900 to 2000. For those of you that aren't in the military, that is 7 to 8 p.m. That would correspond to, we are 6 hours or 7 hours removed, I believe, minus Rome time. So here in the central time zone, so that exactly noon, and that's pretty much how it worked out. They are in their meeting right now. They've got an hour or so, so maybe by the end of the hour here, we may see the smoke.
So it's 11:40 here. It's p.m.
Oh, yeah, 6:40 p.m. there. So, and then tomorrow's schedule is smoke will only appear after the first and third ballots if a pope has been elected on Thursday, May the 8th, and Friday, May the 9th. Rome time is 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow, noon and 17:30, which is 5:30, and then 19:30. Again, that's Thursday and Friday. On Saturday, May the 10th, if no candidate has been elected this day, will be set aside for prayer and reflection, as Matt Gaspers told us on Monday. The last time a conclave lasted more than 3 days was in 1958, when John the 23rd was elected on the 4th, though there had been no ballot on the 1st. The other 20th century outlier was the election of Pope Pius XI in 1922, which took 5 days, though there was again no ballot on the 1st. And then if still on Saturday, there is no habemus papam. Habemus Latin for we have, papam for father or pope. Sunday the 11th of May through Tuesday the 13th of May, following a day of prayer and reflection, the cardinals will vote in 7 more ballots, following the same rough schedule given above, after which, if there is still no successful candidate, the conclave will break for another day of prayer and reflection. And if that by next Wednesday, 1 week from today, there still has not been a selection of a Holy Father, the cardinals will vote in up to 18 more ballots. Again, following the same rough schedule given above, until a candidate receives 2/3 of all votes cast. If there is still no winner, a runoff between the top 2 candidates will be held until one of them receives a 2/3 majority. So this would be next Wednesday and then onwards, a runoff. Playoffs? What are you talking about? Playoffs? Runoffs? So that is the schedule, if you're wondering. Other news here on the Mike Church Show on the Crusade Radio Network, brought to you by winapoundofgold.com. You may have missed this. I know that I missed it earlier. Supreme Court allows Trump to implement transgender military ban. So the SCOTUS yesterday allowed Trump to implement his ban on transgender people serving in the military. I don't know why this was ever a question. The justices granted an emergency request from the Trump administration to lift a nationwide injunction blocking the policy while litigation continues. The court's brief order noted that the 3 leftard, stop calling him liberal. These people are not liberals. The term liberal means a little more licentious than a conservative. That's what it used to mean. These people are not a little more licentious than conservatives. They are pinko red commies. It sounds better when you say pinko red commie anyway. Liberals sound like, we're liberal friends. I don't have any liberal friends. Liberals hate God. Liberals hate life. Liberals flourish on human misery and suffering. We have nothing in common with these people. No more trans at DOD. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on X, In a separate Defense Department post earlier Tuesday, before the decision was issued, Hexa said in a video, "No more dudes in dresses. We are done with that. We are done with that." Just over 4,000 trannies currently serve in the military, according to the Defense Department data. How did that happen? How did you wind up with 4,000 gender dysphoric, suffering mental cases? Some people, some person that's a new listener going like, "Better chart play. They're not mental patients." No, they are mental. Literally. This used to be classified. The term is gender dysphoria. And it was something that was so rare. It was so rare that there's not even a field of study for it. It was in the hundredths of a percent until the leftards took over the schools, made their long pinko commie march to the institutions, and the rest, as they say, is history. And then now you go to certain high schools and junior highs, the percentage of youths professing to think that they're trans or that they're girls stuck in boys' bodies or boys stuck in girls' bodies is in the mid-20%. Now, either someone put either Goldfinger, maybe it wasn't Goldfinger, maybe it was Transfinger. He's the man who thinks he's a dame, or whatever. Somebody put something in the water. You went from hundreds of a percent to a quarter of all children? No. What happened is sexually deviant perverts, primarily women who look like men, dressed in baggy jeans and button-down flannel shirts with big horn-rimmed glasses and butch haircuts, invaded the school systems as teachers and began their little march through the institutions. Do you know someone like I just described physically? So somebody is listening to this going like, "Hey, wait a minute. Little Loretta's fourth grade teacher, that's her. You better watch her." Among those affected will be the 7 individual transgender service members led by lead plaintiff Emily Schilling, a Navy commander, who had sued to block it. I bet Emily is in earnest. I bet Emily is an Earl or an Edward. Transgender service members have served this nation with courage, skill, and selflessness for years, Schilling said in a statement. Well, if you served with selflessness, then you would have abandoned your sick, twisted, pervert ideology and just put the damn uniform on. That's serving selflessly, sir. I'm not calling you a dame because you ain't. We've flown combat missions, led sailors, commanded troops, and stood watch. We are not a theory. We are not a policy debate. We are real people doing real jobs in defense of a nation we still believe in, even when it struggles to believe in us. I don't believe in sexual position promotions. This nonsense of, well, how come you got promoted? No, because I do the nasty, like, you want me to show you? Really? They gave you a better gig and promoted your pay because you do it in the. Yeah, that's right. Maybe you should try it. Well, no, I'm actually happy doing it, kind of the old-fashioned natural way with one man, one woman, that kind of thing. I love this. We have served honorably and so selflessly. You know how weird you look dressed up as a woman, sir? We used to laugh at this on primetime television when Jamie Farr, the actor, was Corporal Klinger on MASH. And it was a running joke gag, and it was kind of funny. It was actually kind of funny. You know, the Clinker would show up in his high heels with his boa wrapped around his neck and, you know, lipstick on. And, of course, what was what was Harry Morgan's name on MASH? Oh, gosh. Was it Colonel Potter? I think it was Colonel Potter. and Colonel Potter would go like, what was, okay, it was Klinger. It was Corporal Klinger. Right, it was Corporal Klinger. Harry Potter, or there he is. Maggie threw a picture up in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. That's the actor. Well, look, and Jamie Farr didn't shave his legs either, so. He was looking for a Section 86 discharge, is what he was looking for. And then Colonel Potter would go, Klinger, no one is believing you. Get back in line, Klinger. Yes, sir. And Klinger would say, yes, sir. But he never stopped trying to get out of the 4077. It continued. I know this decision will cause fear and doubt in the ranks. To those feeling shaken, I say this, stand tall. Well, you're a guy. You already are tall. You are not alone. You are part of a community that will fight for you. It's interesting that you will fight for each other's sexual deviancy and perversions. But will you fight for the United States of America with men and women who aren't like you at your back? And by the way, I pretty much don't care what your sexual perversion or proclivity is. When you put that uniform on, and when you actually go headlong and headfirst and lead actual men into actual battle, and don't lord it over me. You know, the heterosexual guy that goes off and fights a war and comes back and comes home, doesn't have PTSD, gets a medal, and, you know, we think highly of him and thank you for your service and what have you, never tells me how he and his wife get it on. I am never told, and I don't want to be, how he and his wife made 6 juniors and in what position they made them in. That's the difference between that guy who is truly selfless and you. You selfish, deranged, you know what you are. You know, these people need help. They need prayer and they need help. It's just like, well, I'm into affirming people's sexuality. Are you into affirming people that have anorexia? Asking for a friend. Are you into affirming people who have bulimia? Why don't you affirm them? Hey, it's their decision if they don't want to eat, if they want to throw up all the time. Oh, you know, let me give you a little pat on the back. Hey, would you need me to help you? Here, I'm going to help you throw up. What's the one where you run around and you, in your own depression, you cut yourself? What is that called? They're called cutters, right? And they have marks all over their arms, sometimes on their legs. Does anyone affirm? And that's a serious psychological disorder. I know that the nickname or that the popular parlance is cutter, but I'm not sure what the dysphoria is. But it is a mental disease and disorder. Do you affirm them? Well, I affirm you. Well, yeah, no, I know it's called cutters.
They call them self-harmers.
Harmers. Yeah, I know, but self-harmers. I know, but there's like a genus species. There's some Latin term for what they do. Lambda Legal Defense and the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, 2 groups representing the plaintiffs, said in a joint statement that the SCOTUS decision was a devastating blow, no pun intended, to transgender service members. Oh, cry me the proverbial river. Back to the conclave now. What are they showing on Vatican TV? Oh, I see what are these scenes of kids dressed up as?
It was a Catholic school. The Catholic school was reenacting. They had to elect a pope of their class.
Oh, so some of the were there all boys in the cardinal uniforms?
It was 100% boys.
It was 100% boys. Okay, at least they got that part.
This is all they're showing, and occasionally they'll go back to the stack.
Okay. And again, Maggie's showing you now the scene. You can see this. That is the right in the center of the shot there. The Sistine Chapel is the smokestack. The history of the names of the successors of Peter. We have a couple of minutes left. Now, Matt Gaspers was on this show 2 weeks ago, or 10 days or so ago. The editor of Crisis Magazine himself, Eric Sammons, was on this show. And both of them, we have a three-way consensus now that what we hope comes out of this conclave is a Holy Father that takes the name Gregory the 17th. And there are great reasons for that. But there's a little history here on the long-standing tradition of changing the baptismal name. Now, this is maybe interesting to some people. Why does someone go into the conclave as Jorge Bergoglio and come out as Pope Francis I? Why does someone go into the conclave as Giuseppe Sarto and come out as Pope Pius X and ultimately Saint Pope Pius X? Well, it goes back to the Petrine tradition of our Lord saying to Simon, right? Saying to Simon Bar-Jonah, you are Cephas in the Latin. You are Cephas, rock. You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. Whenever someone's name is changed in the Bible, it is a significant event. So this was the last significant event of a name being changed from Simon, obviously, to Peter. And so the tradition continues because when a Holy Father is elected, it is a significant event in the New Testament and in the ongoing covenant. The reasons behind the choice of a name. As for the choice of the name, many ought to choose the name of one of their immediate predecessors. There's all kind of reasons why. But by the way, Pope Francis had to make one up. He was Francis I. There may be a reason why no Holy Father ever thought that he should emulate St. Francis of Assisi. And if you don't know the story of St. Francis of Assisi, this will make complete and total sense because I don't know that the Holy Father could get an awful lot done being the kind of ascetic that St. Francis of Assisi was, and certainly living the kind of life that a Franciscan lives, because you probably go like, yeah, I'm a Franciscan, I can't wear the papal robe. And of course, the most popular names are John, Gregory, Benedict, and Pius. 6 popes, and there were 6 that had the name of the Apostle Paul, and there were only 2 that had 2 names, and there was John Paul. You might have guessed that. If you didn't win a ticket today, go and get yourself a golden ticket today, a chance to win my pound of gold at winapoundofgold.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow here. God bless you and Mary keep you.